I think I spend more on my dog's grooming appointments than my own, and I go pretty regularly to get my hair done. Now, if you have a doodle, or a poodle, or pretty much any dog with longer hair, you can expect to set aside anywhere from about $45 to well over 100 plus tips for the groomer every 6 to 8 weeks. Now, these guys are all pretty high maintenance when it comes to their fur. Now, I can relate. Oh, sorry, we're talking about dogs here. Yeah, I can relate to high maintenance there too. All right, well, the cost for grooming will depend on the size of the dog, the coat quality, how frequently you go, and your dog's temperament while at the appointment. Now, if you've put aside a small fortune to spend on dog grooming each year, then this video is for you. This is one of the most overlooked costs of owning a dog. Your pup is going to spend a lot of time there, so you're going to want it to be the best experience possible. Think about it when you go to the salon. And if you're like me, you look forward to it. It's relaxing. You leave looking great, and someone else did all the work. Well, the same is probably not so true for your puppy. So let's go over some things that you can do to help your puppy love or at least tolerate the groomer. First, I want to start with a little mindset check. Now, I want you to think about the grooming appointments or even the process to prepare your dog for the groomer like the Olympics. Now, the Olympics is a time for all those athletes to show off all the hard work they've been doing during practice. The grooming appointment is not the time for the practice. It's the time to show off all the hard work that you and your puppy have been doing to prepare back at home. So you definitely want to start as early as possible. Now, it's never too early to start preparing for the groomer. And if you've already taken your pup to the groomer and maybe it didn't go so well, no problem, we can start practicing now. You might need to take it a little slower to rebuild up that pup's confidence though. And if you aren't quite ready for the grooming experience, but you're looking for just tips on how to bathe your puppy at home, well, this video here is another one of my great videos where you can watch that after you're finished with this one. Now, when preparing the puppy for the groomer, you want to think of all the things that are going to be happening so you can properly prepare and pre-train for their use. All right, your puppy is going to experience things like bathing and drying and trimmers and scissors and nail clippers and body handling, lots of that. The grooming table, safety equipment such as this, and probably a happy hoodie to cover their ears during the drying process. To prepare for these tools, you're going to want to work on desensitization. That means creating a one-to-one association between tools and something positive. Did you see a recent video where I talk about positive reinforcement? It's this one here, and you can watch that one later for some more great tips. In it, I describe how humans hear the sound of an ice cream truck and create a positive association. That's because it's been associated with something positive, ice cream. We're going to do that with your puppy. We're going to create a positive association with the grooming tools by introducing them at the same time something positive, such as high-value treats, is present. Now, once the human understands this concept, they are typically really enthusiastic about doing this with their puppy. But their number one mistake is they try to go too fast during this process. It's so easy to speed through the process because it seems so easy for the human, and it's usually going pretty well for the dog, so they want to rush through the rest of it. But this is a case where I'm going to ask you to slow it down and be very observant of your dog's body language. Now, if you're not sure what stress or fear or anxiety looks like in a dog, it's time to study up on that before you begin the grooming process, or at least introducing them to the equipment. Look for ears going back or eyes looking away while your dog is actually facing forward. Look for a tail being tucked or even a rigid jaw. These are all signs of stress, and they mean that you are working against yourself on this training. Go at your dog's pace and get those tools closer or touching the dog only when he's telling you that he's ready. Typically, this is when she looks for the treats, or he looks for the treats instead of the scary tool. And this means pup is saying things like, "Oh boy, these trimmers mean something good is gonna happen. I'm ready, I'm ready." Okay, I humanized that a little bit, but you get the idea. All right, let's go over some examples of this, because if there's any one thing I want you to learn from this video, it's how to take training at the right pace. So here I am starting to associate the trimmers with something positive, and I'm going to start with the trimmers in the off position. So I'm going to show him the trimmers and offer him the treat, right? Show the trimmers, offer the treat, and then both are gonna go away. Now, the sequence of that has to be exactly that. Now, you don't want to show the food first. That could backfire and start to associate the food with something scary. Now, I actually need to talk about the treats for just a minute here. Now, What are the best treats to use for this exercise? Well, it's the ones that your dog likes. Now, if your dog has had a previous fear of this tool, you're going to likely need to use really high value treats. Think of something smelly or slimy like hot dog or cheese. Usually the more moist it is, the better it tastes to your dog. Now this treat has to be something positive that overcomes any previous negative experience with the trimmers. Now you might have to start from further away depending on your dog's fear level. Next, we're going to add in the second level of the training, which is actually the sound. You're going to want to do sound training too, not just visual training with the tools. We're going to create a positive association with the sound of the tools like these trimmers. I'm going to suggest that you start with the sound of something similar, but not exactly trimmers. Now, I usually suggest using an electric toothbrush first before touching real trimmers to your dog. You can see he's already interested in it. It has a similar sound, but might allow your dog to get used to it a lot more slowly than the trimmers. Now, notice how I did not start touching the trimmers to the dog. I start simply by showing the dog the trimmers. Over time, as Pickles was becoming more comfortable, I got closer and closer to him until I was able to finally touch the trimmers to him, and he didn't show any signs of stress or overwhelm. Now, in fact, his reaction was excitement because he knew the treats were coming. Now, I'm not really using him the right way. I'm just getting him used to the feel and the sensation. Notice I didn't start at the top of his head. Now, the process of getting the puppy comfortable with the dryer is similar. You're going to start with the dryer in the off position, associate it with something positive, and then when all things are going well, you can add in the sound training from a distance to create a positive association with the noise. Now, as the dog tolerates it, you can move closer and closer. Now, there's more info on that in this video here, and in there, you're going to notice I started working from the tail and then slowly move to the head. We don't want to start with tools right up in their face in the beginning. Now, this can be more scary for the dog and much louder because of the noise near their ears. Keep in mind that as you get closer to the ears and the head, you may need to go slower and definitely offer more treats and smaller steps in the training process. Some parts of the dog's body are more sensitive than others as well. Now, I have a great video all about body handling that can tell you more about that. I think that you're going to get the idea about going slow and offering high value treats and paying attention to body language. Now, let's talk about how to move this process to the groomers, the actual groomer. It's going to be worth your time to do some research to find just the right groomer. Now, there is a fear-free certification that is a great indicator that the groomer has been through additional training to make sure that the experience is a good one for all dogs. Now, if you can find one of those, that would be the perfect place to start. Now, you can find one on the website fearfreepets.com. Keep in mind that you're going to likely pay just a little bit extra for a groomer that's going to go slower and at your pup's pace. Now, it won't always be at a slow pace, but if you can let your groomer know that it's okay if they go slower, it will likely pay off in spades in the lifetime of your dog. Try to find a groomer that understands canine body language. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've watched videos of groomers on TikTok or even Instagram who are showing their work, and I cringe because most of these dogs are often showing signs of stress. In my opinion, it looks bad for the groomer. Now, I'd never use a groomer who's ignoring my dog's stress signals. No, we wouldn't do that. You're going to want to find a groomer who takes time to work through the training techniques that you've worked on at home with your puppy. Find one who goes at your pup's pace and gives your dogs breaks when they need a rest. You're looking for a groomer that prioritizes humanity over vanity. That means they are okay if the job doesn't get done all in one session. Now, once you've found a groomer, there are a few more things you can do to help out the experience and make it go well. Have you heard of victory visits? Well, these are actual visits to potentially scary places like the vets or a groomer that are simply just to check them out and get used to them. Now, the first 1 or 2 visits are not going to result in any procedures being done or any grooming. Maybe the first one is just going to the parking lot, hanging out, smelling all the smells from the car window. Now, the second one might be a walk in the parking lot and maybe even a brief visit inside to get a cookie from the staff. When the dog gets to know these places without all the scary experiences, they're going to be in a better position when the time comes that the procedure or the grooming has to be done. Now, here's a side note. Always check with your groomer or veterinarian to see if this is even an option before just showing up to their facility. Interruptions during the grooming process that aren't planned for can not only be dangerous for the dog on the table, but for the groomer who's caught off guard as well. Be sure the groomer has given you the go-ahead for you just showing up unexpectedly, or at least on a planned time. Now, if you can, try to arrange for a simple introduction to the equipment on the first visit before starting the grooming services, maybe on that second visit. Now, you might be thinking, Michele, who has time for all of this? Well, this is where I want to use this common phrase. Put in the time at the beginning and reap the benefits at the end. You won't always have to do this with the grooming tools. Now, if you do it right and you take it slow, these desensitization techniques will allow your dog a lifetime of positive experiences at the groomer. Your dog can't do this for themselves, so it's up to you, the human, to make this experience a good one for him or her every time. I actually worked with a family and their Shih Tzu a few years back who absolutely hated going to the groomers. He would bite and he would growl anytime the groomer went anywhere near his face with any of the hands or tools. We started to work on counter conditioning exercises outside of the grooming appointments, and the dog built up a comfort level for being handled, but it took lots and lots of practice. Changing your dog's mindset about the grooming process can be done, but it takes time. And we take cues from the dog to let us know when they are ready to advance to the next step, or when we need to go back down a level again. So if you found this video helpful, that means it's time to give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you can learn even more about puppy raising in my next video. In the comments below, tell me the breed of your dog, and if you've been to the groomer yet. Even if you have, these great tips can set you up for future successful visits.